My name is Erik Norlander. I'm a rock keyboardist and a Moog synthesizer enthusiast. I've assembled a 22 oscillator analog modular Moog synthesizer that's affectionately been dubbed the Wall of Doom. I first got into modular synthesis in the early 90s through Keith Emerson. I was lucky enough to have Keith's famous modular Moog system in my studio for a period of time. And after working with it, I thought, this is just the best sounding synthesizer I've ever heard. I've got to get one of these. Of course, that was easier said than done, but I did manage to find a Moog 2C system from 1967 that became the basis for this system here. A modular synthesizer, especially one of this size, might seem really difficult to operate at first glance. But if you know the basics of synthesis, it's actually pretty easy. Just like any analog synthesizer, you have oscillators, you have mixers, you have filters, you have envelopes, and you have VCAs. You can patch together a traditional mini Moog style voice really quickly and easily. Of course, the fun with modular synthesizers is that you can patch things together in non-traditional ways and make really exotic and esoteric voices as well. It's called a modular synthesizer because each element of the instrument is literally one single module. On something like a mini Moog, you have 3 oscillators on a single panel. But in the modular synth, for each oscillator, it's literally its own module. Let's have a look at an oscillator module. You literally patch the waveform output into the destination of your choice. This gives us a really good opportunity to hear the different waveforms just by patching them. Here's the sawtooth wave at 16 feet. Now here's the pulse wave or square wave. Here's the sine wave. And here's the triangle wave. Now let's patch several oscillators together through the mixer to get a bigger and more lush tonality. Here's our first oscillator. Next, let's change the color of that oscillator mix by running it through a filter. We can also add resonance. Then, of course, we can apply an envelope to the filter to create some animation. Now I'm going to take one oscillator and use it as an LFO or low frequency oscillator to modulate a group of other oscillators to create a vibrato effect. I can then use the VCA, the voltage controlled amplifier, to control the amount of vibrato. One of my favorite things to do with the modular synthesizer is to create a stereo voice from a single control source. We have 3 oscillators going into a mixer, going into a filter. Then we have 3 additional oscillators going into a second mixer, going into a second filter. These are panned out in stereo, but they're controlled by a single envelope and by a single control voltage coming in. This creates a really wide stereo sound field, but you still play it like a traditional monophonic voice. That's one of the beauties of modular synthesis. You can get really creative with these kind of routings.